I was just telling Caroline, I was like, I actually don't want to connect as much before we hit record because I know if we do, there's going to be so many good things that we want to share on this podcast. So I'm so excited to do this.
Me too. Me too.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so Caroline is a friend of mine. I don't even know how we really got connected. Was it Lisa Fisher?
I believe, well, so Lisa, I think, was the main connection, but you have a connection with my business partner, Marietta McClure, and then my friend, um, Danielle. Um, Gosh, I just went blank, but yes,
Well,
y'all all just
Marietta. Yeah, Marietta was a
mastermind
yeah,
group together.
Marietta was one of Oh my gosh, I'm cutting you off. I apologize. Keep
No, no,
going.
no, you're okay. No, y'all, you guys did a mastermind group together, and I knew the three of you, and so I started following you um, and listening to your podcast, and I was like, she's someone I think I need to know. So,
And
and
then
that's
I
how
got so lucky to get to know you. You became a client of mine shortly after. But yeah, Marietta was in my one of my very first mastermind groups with Lisa Fisher, and I had no idea you were related to Lisa. Like I love and adore Lisa. She's been on this podcast before. And then Marietta was connected to me through Christy Danley, who's a good friend of mine. And
yeah,
then you reached out to me for like a clarity call. And when we first started working together, oh my gosh, your trajectory has changed so much since we first started working together. And then when you and I are just reconnecting, like on a text the other day, you told me that you were on someone else's podcast. And I was like, what the fuck? This is not okay. You need to be on my podcast. What are you doing trading on me being on other people's podcasts and not being on my podcast too? So I'm so excited you're here.
me too. Yes, I think back to that first clarity call. I was still living in Benton and doing the stay-at-home mom thing, and yeah, life is a lot different
Oh my gosh,
now.
it's so wild. So obviously, like introduce yourself. Tell everyone that you're like the cutest thing on planet Earth and you have like 17 children and like five businesses and all the things.
Okay, well, my name is Caroline Jones. I'm born and raised in Arkansas. Say my family and I have spanned all of Arkansas. My parents are both from Southeast Arkansas, Monticello area. So I spent a lot of time there as a child and then moved to Little Rock with my mom when I don't know, when she divorced my dad, we moved to Little Rock, and I grew up the majority of my life there, and then Benton, Arkansas, which is kind of part of my story with my business. But and then moved to Northwest Arkansas last year. No, not last year.
Girl, it's
It's
been 2 years.
2025. 2 years.
Girl, it's been two
Almost
years.
2 years ago. Yes, moved back up to Northwest Arkansas. I did go to college up here, and that's where I met. At the time, I didn't know he was going to be my future husband, but my husband now of 10 years, we met at the U of A. Yes, we have five children, five daughters. Youngest is 5, oldest is 15, and all girls. And reached out to you when I was thinking about opening a business. And I think when we had our clarity call, it was several months before, maybe 6 months before I don't know if the business was fully intact and going. I think I was just in the thinking phase. But I knew that if I was going to start a business, that I needed a confidence coach. Being an Enneagram 9, I knew that that was probably going to be something I was going to struggle with. And so I think we started our calls in July of 23. And so, yeah, I opened or was opening a gym called McClure Fitness. And at the time, there was one location in Benton, Arkansas. I had been a client turned instructor. And then my husband got relocated for his job, and I was looking for somewhere to teach and or just work out at. I wasn't really even sure I wanted to teach at the time. I was just trying to figure out what I was going to do because I also was painting at the time. I have a watercolor.
Well, that's what I wanted to say was, do you know when we first started together, it was so you signed up for a clarity call and then you're like, I 100% want to do this, but it's not the right time. I'm committing to myself, so I'm putting down a deposit if you'll take me in July because you were going on your 40th birthday trip to like
Yes,
Italy, right?
yes, or I France. Yes.
France.
Yeah,
You were,
yeah,
yeah, you were in France. And so we started that summer, but like, I don't think that when you came to me, because I thought you in the beginning, you wanted to build your painting business. I don't think the
yeah,
gym happened until after we got together, which was like
yeah.
such a God thing because I was like, oh my God, yes, you have to do this. And there was
No, I think you're right. I think our clarity call may have been in
like,
December of 22, maybe.
yeah, it was like January or something like that. It was wild.
Yeah,
You're like, I just need a minute, but I'm totally gonna do this. It's just like my schedule is like not permitting. Can we start this summer? And I
yeah,
don't think that you even knew the gym was a possibility until like right before we started our calls.
yeah. You're right. Having to think back on the timeline of everything. Yeah, so I was fully into my art business then, which started very organically in 2020. After my dad died, I started painting. I painted a house. I painted his house for my stepmom and posted it on Facebook. And I think we've talked about this before, like just post it if you're, don't worry about what people think. I wasn't even posting to sell anything. I was just posting to post, right? I'm a big poster. So, and then from that, people started wanting orders, and I had to get on YouTube and teach myself how to paint better. And I think I have some natural talent there because both of my
I
parents
think
are
that that's actually not the case. I think you got on the internet to like be like, "Oh my gosh, how do I price these and how do I actually sell these and like how do I
I
have
had
to
no
call?"
idea.
You had no idea. That's what
Yeah.
was so wild. It was like, no, no, no. If you go look at the Brushed House and you go look at Caroline's social media, you'll see that she really didn't need help with how to paint because people were just like flocking to her. I remember like when we first started together, I was like, no, you're not doing this for free. No, you're not doing this
Yes.
for $20. I think your hourly rate when
You,
we first started was like 25 cents an hour. I'm like, what in the fuck are we doing? This is a God-given talent that people like are screaming. You don't have enough time to do this.
yeah,
That's what it was in the beginning, which was so
that is
funny.
absolutely true. And I've honestly forgot about that because I haven't picked up a paintbrush in a long time.
Well,
But
you have a whole nother business now. Oh
I
yeah, and
haven't,
you have five girls.
yes. But that's been what's super cool about my journey these last 2 years is that you can't put yourself into a box of there's just endless opportunities out there. And yeah, the gym came about. That happened in March of 23 when Marietta had posted that she was wanting to franchise. And we already knew we were moving. Yes, I'd already talked to you and I was like, I'm not going to do commissions anymore. I'm going to paint what I want to paint and I'm going to up my prices. And this is what I'm going to do. And she posted that. And my husband and I had been in Eureka on a little just date weekend trip. And I had a few mimosas and I just got liquid courage and text Marietta and she said, "Send me some information. Let me see what this would be like, what the numbers look like." And my husband was very hesitant on like opening a business; just seemed impossible at the time because we didn't even know where in Northwest Arkansas we were going to live and didn't really have a plan. And but I did know I was like, well, I've got Christina in my pocket. I already think I put a deposit down. So I was like, well, I know I've got Christina in my corner and she can cheer me on. But I just felt like if I didn't do it, then someone else would. And I didn't want to miss out on the opportunity of what amazing things McClure could do up here in Northwest Arkansas because there was not another gym like it up here. And there was such a huge following in Sling County and love for it, which I mean, I had a love for it as well because I loved the whole multiple modalities in one studio and being able to teach and to take different classes was really important to me. So I just jumped on the opportunity. And then that was March of 23. I started working with you in July of 23. And the gym was open in December of 23.
So I want to kind of go back to because I think that this will really resonate with a lot of people in the fact that like you were in a position and like you can share as much as you want, but like when you first saw that Marietta had posted about having a franchise opportunity, so to franchise her very successful gym in a different location in the state, you had those couple mimosas or whatever, but like what was the actual kind of process after that? Because I think that that's where so many people get stuck is they think, 17 steps ahead. And I always remember during our calls, I do think it was kind of almost like a God thing that you and I started to work together and you thought it was probably for this painting thing. And then it sure enough ended up being for, a franchise opportunity. But I think that that's where so many people get stuck is they start thinking like 17 steps ahead when you really have to think about the next step. So after you got the information, after like you got the liquid courage, what was
Mhm.
like the next few steps after that? Because I think that that's really going to resonate with people.
Well, I'll be really honest. Marietta is she's a go-getter. She's an 8 on the Enneagram. I love talking about Enneagram. It's if you know me in my like daily life, I talk about that a lot. In that I think that we're always kind of fighting what our number is, but she is very much a go-getter. She was very organized and like she presented me with this packet, which I'm a 9-wing 1, so I'm also very
Analytical.
analytical and a little bit of a perfectionist. So we just worked really well together and we still work really well together. I feel like we just are in a really good groove. But from the beginning, you know, we had this timeline of events that we needed to do. So we just having a partner, I think that's the number one thing. If you're doing anything on your own, it's to find someone that can keep you accountable. Um, and then having a partner, business partner, life partner, whatever, if you've got goals, someone that's going to help you achieve them and keep you on the path. And so, I mean, yeah, we just immediately we found an agent and went to Northwest Arkansas and scouted. We just looked. We had a budget in mind. We knew kind of what we wanted to pay for rent. We knew it was going to be crazy up here because she owns the gym in Benton. She owns the building. And we knew that was probably not going to be a possibility, but we just had in mind a number and got a list of places together. We made a few trips up here and looked, and we got really lucky in finding the place where we are right now. But like that was the first step, and then getting a business plan together, getting all of our organizational like articles, our articles of incorporation, all of that stuff, like going through the legal process, getting our LLC set up, getting our tax number, all of those things. So then we could actually start bringing it all together. Um, but yeah, I think you just have to be very organized and have a plan. If you don't have a plan, then you're going to sit around and not take action. But I will say, I don't know if I did not have Marietta, I'm not sure if I would have known which course to take because she had already been in this business for 10 years at that point. So, um,
Do you want to
very
share
grateful
some
for
of
her.
like the mindset kind of issues that you ran into when starting your own business? Obviously, you and your
Yeah.
husband had a business before, but this was really the
Mhm.
first time that you had just like that you were going to kind of really step out and do this and become the successful entrepreneur that you are now. So kind of if you wouldn't mind sharing kind of some of the things that came up for you in the beginning.
Yeah. Well, again, why I hired you was I was really worried about my ability to just be confident and to put myself out. I mean, not only was I going to be starting a new business, but we were moving to a new town. And I had a handful of friends up here, but really I didn't know anybody. And so I felt like the new kid on the block in more than one ways. And So I think the struggle was for me was, can I do this? Am I going to have the mental strength and capability to do this, and then also still be a mom? Um, I like to stay busy. I'm a busybody, so even if I wasn't doing the gym, I would be doing something else. It'd probably be the art business, but that's a totally different kind of business than opening a brick and mortar and having to be public, you know, out there
Forward
and
facing. You are the
forward.
face.
Yes. And no one knew who we were. So I felt a lot of pressure of, and not pressure from Marietta. This is just pressure on me of, I want this to be a successful business and I want to make money, right? I mean, we don't open a business to not make money. I, so in college too, I was just a general business major. I always knew I wanted to open a business. I just didn't know what kind of business. And so I think it's pretty kind of cool to go back and see, like, I had set myself up for this years ago. I just didn't know what I was going to be doing. And yes, I spent a lot of time having kids, but that was another thing is I wanted my girls to see me doing something for myself because I'd spent so much time being mom and I was turning 40 and I needed to just kind of break out of my shell a little bit. So I think that was my main focus was, okay, I got to get over myself. To Marietta. We say that a lot in gym. Get over yourself because you're not special. We're all special, but get over yourself and just get out there and do it and see what happens. And not everybody needs a confidence coach. I think, well, or maybe they don't think that they need a confidence coach. I need to rephrase that. I think we all could use someone to be in our corner cheering us on because I think two, you're going to face a lot of naysayers. People that are going to say, like, why are you doing this? This is weird. This isn't you. I've had several people say that to me. Um, you opened a gym? Like, that's weird. But I think you just have to get over that and not listen to the people that are maybe it's just coming from jealousy or wishing that they had done something like that and they just didn't have the balls to do it or whatever. So I just had to kind of, you know, kind of a little bit of an outer body experience it has been for me, to be honest. And I think that I come off now more confident than I really am. but um and I think about my girls, I say that all the time. I'd rather them be overly confident than not have enough confidence because I think for women that sets us up for a lot of bad decisions sometimes. And I just um just keep trucking forward. And even if things are not always perfect, I just stay motivated and confident in that all of this is going to pay off because I'm in control of that. And I know what my boundaries are. And I know um,
How can
that,
you tangibly, because I think that that's really cool that you say that. Obviously, being an Enneagram 9, and if for those who are listening that don't know, that aren't super familiar with the Enneagram, everyone's our strengths and weaknesses are very different in the Enneagrams. I'm an Enneagram 3. You're talking about being an Enneagram 1. I'm probably closer to an 8 than I am a 9. I'm
yes,
probably
right.
I'm a little Marietta. I've got a little Marietta in me. But how did you actually tangibly continue to show up in believing that you could do this? And how have you continued to show up? Because, we haven't really touched on it yet, but in the last 2 years, you've really been able to grow this business extremely well. You guys are one of the top locations, in the state right now. You guys are really thriving up there. You've done a fantastic job of growing this business, and it's literally something that you've never done before. Obviously,
Yeah.
Mary is very successful in this industry, but like, how did you continuously put yourself out there? Because what we've kind of touched on, but we really haven't hit on is the fact that you are a mom of 5. Your husband works. You moved completely. Like, you guys, this is like 4 hours distance. So she moved to a brand new place, starting starting a brand new gym. How did you continue to show up when I'm sure there was days that, you didn't feel like you could?
Um, you know, I feel like that's kind of a loaded question a little bit. I think it's just a choice to like I made a choice to do this and we put a lot of money into it. I mean, that's one part of it. So financially, there's a lot weighing on me to be successful. And thankfully, I have a husband that has, he hasn't always seen my vision, and that's okay. But he is a good partner in the sense that he is still letting me do my thing. Um, and it's paying off. I just choose each day to get up. I I'm very organized in that I put everything on my calendar. I do have, gosh, how many instructors do we have? We have 17 instructors.
Wow. That means 17 employees for all of those who I I do business coaching all day long, and all I know is that employees is the hardest part in life.
Yeah.
So you are dealing with 17 employees. Good for you.
Yes. Which was another reason why I hired you. And again, why I needed that confidence boost because, yeah, I am now managing people and they also depend on the gym. And now we have over, I don't know, I think I looked yesterday, we have 115 active subscriptions.
Wow.
So that's 115 members that have a membership. And we have several that just come in and drop in. So we're probably about 120 members right now. I don't know. I had a goal um, in mind in the very beginning of how many clients I wanted to have within the first 2 years. And I gave myself 2 years because, a year is a year. And then you get that other year going, like you're already established. What are you going to do in that next year? Which is where we're at because we celebrated a year this past December. So we're in the second year. And so I think to answer your question, like I have these 17 employees who I love very much. I have a really great group. And I think we just cultivated this culture of we care about each other. And so like my success depends on their success, depends on like we are vibing together and growing together. And then I have these clients that love the gym and they show up every single day. There's clients that are there more than I am, and it's incredible. And I tell them that and I make sure that they know that. Um, I end every class typically just telling my clients how much I love them and how grateful I am for them. Um, and I think a lot of people, I mean, you just think of the fitness industry as a whole as kind of oversaturated at times. Get on Instagram and you see all these influencers, and it doesn't always feel genuine. So I have just really worked hard at creating a space where everybody feels welcome. You don't have to come in wearing a cute set. You can come in, with your hair looking crazy. And I look like that half the time. Like I rolled
Oh,
out
we
of
don't
bed.
believe that, but people have seen me online. I would fit right in if you're allowed to look crazy in the gym. I mean, I swear to God, the way I look when I go to the gym in the morning, I do not even own a cute set. So I'm glad that I would fit in.
Either. I don't think
Oh,
that I do. So,
oh my
I mean,
gosh.
that's just part of what keeps me going and what has created this space where people feel super comfortable and then they want to bring their friends. And I also have created I started this habit of, I knew I wanted to make sure I knew everybody's name. Um, so we've grown. It's gotten a little bit harder. There's sometimes I have new members that I haven't met yet because they're going to other classes that they love, which is great. But I make a choice, or not a choice. I make a point to say, hi, Christina. It's so good to see you today. I see someone walking in, even if they're not coming to my class, like, hey, Christina, bye, Christina. Someone pointed out to me the other day, she said, you know everybody's name here. And I said, well, that's very important to me because if I went to a new gym, I know how intimidating it can be. If I would want them to know my name, it would make me feel special and make me feel important. And that's my goal for every client to feel special and important and wanted. You know, you may the gym may be the last place you want to be that day, but I'm going to make sure that you know that you're loved and that you're doing something that you should be proud of, which is just moving your body, however that looks. Um, so I think that that's what keeps me going. This is not a hard job. Um, and I say all the time, I'm so grateful that I get to work out for a living. Like, who wouldn't want to do do that?
Oh, I know a shit ton of people. I feel the same way about my job, but I don't think I would be able to say, well, maybe that's not true. But like, I also like, I totally feel the exact same way. I'm like, oh my God, I get paid to do what I love. And I think that that's one of the coolest
Yeah.
things ever. If, I was actually on a podcast just the other day and I heard a long time ago, I had this gentleman named Lieutenant Colonel Dan Rudy on my podcast. And he said something that I thought was so good. He said, there's very few people in this world that literally get paid to do what they love. And I will never take it for granted that the thing that God put in my soul to do, that I get paid to do. And it sounds very similar to, what I say and what you say is like, you are just so damn grateful for getting to do this. And I think that sometimes that's overshadowed by the success that you have. And I think sometimes people just really don't think about that. We all think about like, the bottom lines and the growth and like what people are going to say and how it's going to impact our lives, but the fact of the matter is you truly love what you get to do, and I think that that's one of the biggest starting points, and I'm sure as a mom of 5 girls that's something that you really want to put into their lives.
Yeah. Well, I want people to realize too is that part of my gratefulness is that there was a point in my life that I didn't think I would get to own a business. I was um, a single mom for a couple years with my oldest two girls. And then Austin and I got married when I was 30. He was 30. Then we had three kids back to back. And, I was putting groceries on a credit card at, 25, 26, um, lots of debt. And then I got married and things got a little bit better. Then both of my parents died. And that was really a struggle for me, like a really, really low point in my life during my 30s. My 30s were pretty hard. And then I was like raising babies and just, I worked at the same job for 18 years. I worked at an independent pharmacy in Benton. And I kind of thought that that was just going to be my life, that I didn't hate the job. The job was fine, but I didn't really know how to get away from that. And it wasn't until COVID and I had my last baby that I just didn't go back after my maternity leave. And then that's kind of how the painting started, more as a therapeutic thing for me. But I think if you just, I don't know, sometimes you just have to be open to opportunities happening and hearing God speak to you and say, you know what, I think, there's things out there for you. You just got to go chase it a little bit. And that's scary. It's scary for a lot of people. And I think we've talked about that was a lot of our conversation was the fear of doing something and maybe being a burden. I think that was kind of my worry too, is if I do this, I'm going to have to ask for help with these kids. And with my one wing, that perfectionist part of me wants to be able to do it all. And I'm so sorry. Where did my thing go? Oh, I put my phone on do not disturb. I'm not sure why it did that. Anyway, but that was one part I had to really get over, and you helped me.
Well, I'm really glad that you said that because I think that anyone, people, we look at outside perspective, right? And someone could look at you and be like, she's a beautiful, good looking woman who's blonde hair, blue eyes, just,
Mhm.
mother of 5. Her life is perfect. She must just, be kicked up
Yeah,
eating bonbons. And I think the thing about it is thank you for sharing that story. You are a single mom who are putting groceries on a credit card who lost both of your parents in a very short period of time. And I think that sometimes people don't see the whole picture. And I
yeah,
think that every single one of us walking this earth, whether it be me, you, or anyone else that's listening, we've all gone through hard times. We've all had certain stories, and it doesn't matter what walk of life, where you come from, money,
Mhm.
no money, Arkansas, Canada, black, white, purple, overweight, skinny, whatever. We all have something. And thank you for sharing that, because I think that you give other women, especially, hope that even in your 30s, like you were into your mid 30s at a really, really low period of time. And you took a lot of action and you decided and you put yourself out there, even investing into our coaching together. I know that that was a big deal to you. That was like a big investment to you. And then at the same time, you invest into a business to move somewhere, hours away where you don't know anyone, to start this business and put your neck out on the line, and a huge investment for you and your husband, and you've got 5 kids at home. I think that that's really unbelievably inspirational to other women who are listening, who perhaps, think, well, I couldn't do it because, she's got it all. Well, you know what? She doesn't have it all. You have just taken a massive amount of action. You've put you put it shit on the line, girl. And you've been showing
Yeah.
up to those decisions. And it's not easy. Nothing worth it is easy, but my God, you're unbelievably happy. You've been extremely successful, and you're being a huge inspiration for other women and for your girls.
Yeah. I think that's all there is to it. I mean, there's no secret sauce. It is exactly what you say. You just have to decide what it is that you want. And, we all, and moms especially, we can get so caught up in the daily lives of our children, which, that's what it's a huge responsibility that we were given. And I think a lot of women, when they have children, can lose themselves in becoming just the taxi driver and just all the coordinating that it takes, and all the mental load that moms have. There's a huge mental load. Not to poop on any dads, because dads are great too, but moms, just, I think women in general, we just like all the appointments and all the things, and you can so easily lose yourself in that. And it's okay to say, you know what, I'm going to do something for myself now. And that's another thing I talk about a lot of time, as like we're cooling down, and just telling the women that are in my classes that I'm so proud of you for just taking an hour for yourself. We've kind of grown. I grew up going to Kanakuk camps, which I loved. And I'm a Christian. I'm a believer, and I love Jesus. But I was raised to always thinking about other people, and I quit thinking about myself at some point along the way. And I think a lot of moms and women in general do that. We're always thinking about everybody else, but it's okay to think about yourself sometimes and put yourself back into the forefront of your mind and do something for yourself as an individual. And then that's just what I decided to do. Like, this is what I'm doing. And if you don't like it, sorry.
That's something that I've never, that's something that I've actually never told you. So Carolyn and I don't work together anymore. We've just remained friends, but something that over the years I've really witnessed in you that I probably should have even sent you a voice note about. And perhaps other women will just think it's kind of crazy, but something that I really respect in you is that you do a lot of things for yourself. You travel a lot, you get away with your girlfriends, you and your husband get away. You spend a lot of time with your kids, you work a lot, but you also get away and you really live life. Like, I mean, I've watched your social media, you're all over the place. And
Yeah.
someone could look at that and think that, like, oh, that's a bad thing. I actually
Mhm.
respect the shit out of you for that, because I know what it takes to actually prioritize yourself. And I think it's a very, like, women in particular, sometimes they say, like, oh, we want to prioritize ourselves, we should take care of ourselves, but you actually walk the walk and live and like talk the talk. Like, you
Yeah.
go, you do. You're an
Yeah.
amazing mom, but you're also doing fun things. You're traveling. You do it all the time. And I actually think that we need to talk more about that as women,
Okay.
because obviously I don't have kids, so I can do whatever the fuck I want kind of thing. But I actually respect the shit out of you because you travel a lot too. You go do things all the time. And you're still an amazing mom of five. And you're still a business owner. Like you just prioritize taking care of yourself and
Yeah.
enjoying your life. And I respect the shit out of that.
Well, I think, yeah, I think it goes back to what I said. And again, back to my previous life, I kind of, I think life is so cool. It was to kind of live in chapters. And there was just a chapter of my life where I didn't get to travel. I couldn't afford to travel. I had my kids were a lot younger and I didn't have the help. Um, so I'm just in a season of life where we're able to do that and I don't feel bad about it. And, if people judge me for that, then that's on them. It's not on me because those people wouldn't know me or know my past. But now, like, I'm a big YOLO person. Like, I mean,
Girl,
like
you're preaching to the
YOLO,
choir here. I'm like, where do you want to go? Sounds good. Give me 10
YOLO,
minutes. I'll be ready.
yes. And I tell people all the time, if you invite me to do something, I'm a yes girl. Um,
Caroline, this is
yeah,
a funny story. Caroline has literally come to my house for a girls' night. She got here like 6 o'clock. You stayed until like 3 a.m. And then you drove 2.5 hours home so you could like teach a class or get your kids ready for school. Like you do crazy shit. You and Sarah both did that one time. You're like, can I spend the night? Like, and by night you meant, can I basically like lie down for 4 hours so I
for
can
a
get
couple
in the car and be
hours.
home by 6? I was like, oh my God, like I love that about you.
Yeah. Well, I just think, and one thing about me too, and maybe we can talk about this a little bit is, you really find out who your friends are when you open a business too. You there, I will say there's been some times it's been hard in that aspect, but I've also grown and made some amazing friends, new friends from opening this business. So, but I love sharing and helping my friends who have, and anyway, yes, I just wanted to see you and I
Talk
wanted
about that
to
too. Because
meet your other friends. And I'm like, I can make it happen. Yeah. So if I can make things happen, I will make things happen. And I think, I'm not saying we all should be that way. I think definitely everybody has to have their boundaries, but that's just something about me that I want my people to know that I love them. And one way I show that is by showing up when I can. Um, and sometimes I spread myself too thin. I have a problem with that too. But I don't know if it's because I lost my parents and my mom was 61 when she died. My dad was 80. But I just think you just never know what today could be your last day. How are you going to live today? And what choices are you going to make and how are your people in your life going to know that you love them? And um, so maybe that means spontaneous trips or dinners or happy hours or um, yeah, I don't know. That's just
I think your
I
life
love
are
I just
all of
love
our,
people
yeah,
too.
you totally love people. Is your love language quality time too?
I mean, yes. I also am I do spend a lot of alone time to decompress. Lisa would say what does she say I am?
Introverted or introverted
Introverted,
extrovert.
extrovert.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. So am I. I'm an extrovert like by day and then by night I'm total introvert. Do not fucking talk to me morning and evening.
Yes. So I do have times that I need to be by myself to decompress. Um, but feel like I'm a very gregarious person. Like people energize me. I love meeting new people and um that was another kind of part of this journey is I love that, but it can also be intimidating going into a room of people you don't know. And you helped me with that too. I'll never I can say the advice that you gave me.
Please go ahead.
I don't even know if you remember, but and I've shared this with other people, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, this is so eye-opening." Um, just to walk into a room and think everybody wants to know me, and with I have used that so many times, and it has helped me break the ice. And it's just like faking it till you make it, having that fake confidence. Um, but people don't know the difference. And then if you act or assume that people are intimidated by you, then it makes it easier for you to go up to them and say, "Hey, I'm Caroline. Nice to meet you." And then you don't have to worry about any of that. Well, I don't know. She didn't talk to me, so she may not be nice, or whether blah, blah, blah. I have made so many new connections with people just kind of using that. And, and maybe I would give off weird vibes if I didn't just go up to someone and say, "Hi, I'm Caroline."
Well, I love that. And I'm so, it's so funny that you remembered that and you've used that because it's so
Yeah.
true. I think that oftentimes,
I'm
it
sharing
is
your
what it is.
tips and tricks.
I'm sure I said it to you because I said it to you in this way. You're super good looking, you're somewhat shy, you're tall, gorgeous, blonde, whatever. If you don't say anything, guaranteed people are going to think that you're a huge bitch. They're going
Yeah.
to think like she's stuck up bitch. She won't even talk to us because I've had that happen in my life so many times. And I know for a fact when I didn't have my confidence and when I didn't like myself, people probably always thought that about me and yet I didn't like myself. And now I really try to use that same advice is like these
Mhm.
people are going to think I'm a bitch if I don't, so I might as well just go and introduce myself. And I really try to like introduce myself to everyone and try to be as confident as I possibly can because whether they like me or they don't like me, they're gonna not like me if I don't introduce myself, and they're probably if they
Yeah.
don't like me when I do introduce myself. So that's just kind of like my thought process is just
Yeah.
like I'm just gonna go and talk to every single person and just try to be as confident as I can because I mean just like you, I mean I think once people get to know me, they really like me or they fucking should because I'm awesome.
I think you're pretty awesome. And yes, I agree. I think that, but that piece of advice has helped me so much to go back to kind of the success of the gym. I have put a lot, which Northwest Arkansas is really big on collaborating. Um, that's all people do up here. And I was not used to that kind of energy um, which I say I didn't own a business in Little Rock or Saline County either. So I felt a lot of pressure to get out and meet people. And the only way to meet people is to network. And I felt like I had to have all this confidence to do that. And honestly, I just had to kind of fake it through. Now that I've done it so much, it is more natural. And even I mean, another thing we talked about that I was nervous about was like asking for sponsorships, asking for money, asking for I mean, even owning a business and charging for a service. That goes back to the art stuff. Knowing my worth, knowing that my service and what I was providing was worth what I was charging, and not feeling bad about it. Um, as an Enneagram 9, that's something I've always struggled with. So um, I have way more confidence now going in and meeting people, and like people now know about the gym. They've heard about it. Everybody has amazing things to say. Our social media is amazing because I'm going to call Ashlyn out. Ashlyn Chapin is our social media girl, and she does an amazing job. And we get compliments all the time. I say, I do not do it. People think I
But you
do it.
do your TikTok and you are
I do.
like that was one of the things that I told you when we first started working together. I had only looked at your IG because I'm not a TikToker. And I remember like one day when you like lightly said, you're like, oh yeah, I think I got like 1 million views on TikTok. And I was like, what the fuck do you mean you got 1 million views on TikTok?
1.9, 1.9.
1.9, sorry. I I was just like blown away. And like sometimes it's so funny how we're all just like human beings doing human things. Cause sometimes you like we were talking about ways to build your confidence and like speak up. And then I'm like,
Mhm.
what the fuck do you mean you can't say this? And yet you just got 1.9 million views on this TikTok. So it was just a matter of showing up differently and borrowing the confidence from
Yes.
TikTok into your real life.
Yes. Yeah, I'm an unassuming TikToker.
You are. Your TikTok is like I don't really have TikTok, but every once in a while I'll see your like a little like I don't know, my assistant does art
Yeah.
like has it. I don't even it hasn't been posted on in like a year, I'm sure. But I'll see your TikToks and I just love you on TikTok. You're so good on TikTok.
Thank you. Um, yeah, I mean, again, it's just that TikTok to me is kind of like you're in front of an audience and the lights are shining in your eyes and you can't see anybody. I don't put it, well, Instagram, I live in my stories, and I've even been told like I post a lot of stories, but you know what? I don't care because it's my Instagram and I'll post what I want, but I share a lot of like my daily life in my Instagram stories because it's kind of how I market myself. And I do have this huge, there's a huge part of me for people to know the real me. I'm not trying to be someone I'm not.
Amen.
And if you know me in real life, I am a TMI or I'm an oversharer. I will be the first time I met you and you will know my whole life story. I don't know how to be any other way. And so my Instagram kind of relates to that. And, but I've had to choose, like, I don't care if you have a problem with my Instagram stories, just don't watch it. But that's how I want that to spill over into the gym and what I'm putting into my energy there. Like, if you know me at the gym, you're going to know my life story. I tell my clients everything that's going on in my life. And then they're like, oh, I saw what happened yesterday. Like, we have a snake. Your Joby had the snake around her neck. That was so cute. I'm like,
I would die. That is the one thing. Your TikToks are so funny. Your Instagrams are so funny. I love watching you so much. But girl, the fact that you have a fucking snake in your house is like so off-putting to me. I'm just like, what are you doing? This is horrific. I'm a wimp, obviously.
uh, we love the snake. We love the snakes.
Oh, I cannot. Uh,
Um, but yeah, so honestly, the networking has been a huge part in the gym's success up here. And again, I credit you for a lot of me being able to just put myself out there. Um, for example, I last year, I took a meeting with a girl that I had just met spontaneously. She's a friend of a friend, and she works for the Scout Guide. And they were scouting for their next volume. The gym wasn't open yet, and it just wasn't a investment that we were ready to make. But I made this connection with this girl. I took the meeting because, a lot of times we can talk ourselves out of like, is this going to go anywhere? I'm going to flake out. I'm not going to take the meeting. I always say, just take the meeting and meet the people because you never know where it's going to lead. Her name is Lauren Chesney Anderson. She's amazing. But from that meeting, even though I didn't uh, invest in the Scout Guide, she turned around like a month later and asked me to be on this panel for their first women's brunch. And I wanted to vomit.
I remember your voice note to me.
It was like, who am I? I'm nobody. Who am I? Why do they want me to do this? I was on a panel with the girl that owns Onyx Coffee, who is one like, she's like the world champion coffee maker. Onyx, if you don't live in Northwest Arkansas, you may not know what I'm talking about, but
It's a
Onyx is
huge
like
brand.
tea coffee up here. I was on stage with her, the girl that owns Heirloom and Pinky Swear up here. Just amazing established business owners in Northwest Arkansas. And then they had me. And I really felt like imposter syndrome was full fledged that day. And it was definitely an outer body experience, but Lauren had so much, she just saw something in me that I guess I didn't see in myself. And then after that, the Scout Guide asked me to be a contributing editor for this volume. And because of that, the gym has gotten so even though we didn't join the Scout Guide, I still got to utilize their services through advertising and reciprocating services as a contributing editor. And it's because I took that meeting with Lauren. And that has led to so many opportunities and just meeting so many other business owners in the area. Um, so I think that's probably my biggest piece of advice for people that are maybe you've already opened the business, but you don't really know what to do now. Collaboration and networking is probably going to take you further than anything else. Putting yourself out there as a person and letting people get to know you. And if you're a likable person, people are going to want to
And just the
you.
confidence Thank you for saying that because I think that that's like the overarching theme of this podcast is that you just have to say yes to certain things. You just have to put yourself out there. I mean, from, the minute you and I connected, you said yes to like, the investment of working together. And then you
Yeah,
said yes to the painting. And then you said yes to the business. And then every single day, it seems like you have to say yes to something else scary. And I think that that has been a huge contributor to your success and to like you just truly stepping into your greatness in not only being a business owner, but being a mom and taking care of yourself and balancing, if even balance is a word, but just really prioritizing yourself, your family, and your
yeah.
business. And it's just been unbelievable to see your success over the last year and a half. And I know behind the scenes it hasn't been easy, but you've really just shown up and stepping into your greatness.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. It's been a fun journey for sure. And I'm just incredibly grateful for our connection and everything that you instilled in me has been something that I've been able to carry along. Like I said, you just had like Christina in my pocket. Um,
Well, I'm
it's
so
just
grateful. If everyone wants to
been a
follow
year.
you and the gym and your TikTok for sure and McClure Fitness, tell us all the places to follow you and find you.
Okay. So I on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, I am Caroline Gibson Jones. And the gym is McClure Fitness Bentonville. And there are three locations. I only have ownership in the Bentonville location, but there's McClure Fitness Benton and also McClure Fitness Conway now.
I know you
So
guys have just bought. So Conway is where I live, for those of you who don't know. And
yeah,
I saw that Marietta has a big new building in the back. I just saw that. I
I know.
sent her a text the other day. I was like, congratulations.
Yeah. So she opened that one a year after we opened in Bentonville. So she's moving and shaking and doing some amazing things with the McClure Fitness brand. But yeah, you can follow along. All three are fun. But yeah, Bentonville's my baby.
Absolutely. You guys, Bentonville, Arkansas, up in the Fayetteville, Rogers, Northwest Arkansas area, which is like one of the fastest growing communities in the United States of America. It is, we're trying not to tell anyone how awesome Arkansas is because we want to keep it this hidden gem. But unfortunately, everyone in the world now knows how awesome Arkansas is. But now everyone knows how awesome you are as well. I just love you so much. I'm so proud of you. Thank you for sharing your story today.
You're very welcome. Love you back.